I don't want these shorts to be too little.
Well, I just saw something bulging out. I wasn't quite sure if that was a stomach or your nuts, but...
No, of course not, but...
The latest revelations have stunned everyone who follows this complicated, unpredictable narrative involving Joy and Trick Daddy. Social media rumors indicate that Joy may have finally recognized something that fans have long suspected but never thought she would openly accept. According to rumors, Joy acknowledged in private that she still has feelings for Trick, which she says have never truly faded in spite of everything that has happened between them. The Trick didn't hold back either, and just when everyone thought it was dramatic enough, there was even more conversation. Insiders said that he informed her that she continued to look stunning, as if nothing had changed over the years. Fans were stunned and questioned whether this was a mistake, an emotional turning point, or the start of something that no one had predicted would return. The tension, the past, and the unresolved emotions are creating an online storm of responses. Some believe this could be the beginning of a reconciliation, while others believe it could result in even greater turmoil. Whatever the truth, these circulating reports have pulled everyone.
I spent so many years worrying about you, so I was losing myself.
I didn't want, but when you lost yourself, you missed it.
You didn't know, and like I said, I know what I know, because I would have never...
One back into a story they thought was over. The conversation around Joy and Trick has taken an unforeseen turn, and the outcry only becomes louder as more individuals come forward to say they witnessed the emotional tension between them. These stories that are circulating depict a moment that left everyone in shock, not because the two fought or clashed as they often did in the past, but rather because something unvarnished and nearly too real to ignore slipped through the surface. Joy didn't try to hide behind jokes or act cool this time, according to some who say they were close. She sat down, looked him in the eyes, and admitted that she still had feelings for him, that she thought she had moved on from. She didn't shake, they say, but there was a softness in her voice that only comes from speaking from a place one has been defending for a long time. According to those same witnesses, when things grow sentimental, Trick usually laughs or brushes her off. Instead, he just gazed at her in silence for a considerable amount of time, as though trying to understand every word that was not spoken. The room reportedly fell silent to the point where even breathing seemed loud. That was how obvious the shift was. Suddenly, Trick leaned back and told her that she still looked great, as if time had only made her more attractive. Sources describe the event as unexpected and a little strange because he didn't convey it with humor or sarcasm. It wasn't a joke, nor was it shade. It sounded sincere. As soon as this news began circulating online, fans began analyzing the situation from every perspective. According to some, Joy finally snapped after years of unresolved emotions that she tried to cover up with independence, new beginnings, and attempts to move on. Some argue that she never stopped loving Trick in the first place, and that what people are hearing now is simply reality catching up with them both. In any case, the answers show that the situation is far more challenging than most people expected. Their history extends beyond their marriage and breakup and includes their shared memories, past traumas, loyalty, misunderstandings, and a feeling of familiarity that persists no matter how far apart two people are in life. Another account claims that Joy went inside the room with no intention of confessing. She apparently came to ease their tension and possibly even to put some distance between them. But as soon as she took a seat across from Trick, her emotions took precedence over her objectives. Sources claim that although she didn't cry, her expression changed to the point where she was silent for a longer period of time than usual. She was able to speak something she had been holding back during this interval. In one account, Joy leaned forward, her hands clasped together, and said in a steady, low voice that she still wanted a relationship with Trick. Something real rather than chaos, uncertainty, or the highs and lows they had previously gone through. Something stable, something that appeared to be a second chance. The room was so still at that exact moment that even those who weren't supposed to be paying attention found themselves stopped, waiting to see how Trick would respond. And his response set off the internet frenzy. These circulating stories said that although his remarks were simple, They had weight that no one had imagined. He told her that she still had the spark that he said had never gone out, that she was still appealing, and that she still had the same vitality as when they first met. Some say Joy didn't smile right away. Instead, she sat there listening to what he said, as though she couldn't tell if it was a confession, a compliment, or something else. Regardless of his intentions, others contend that the moment altered the environment around them. Strong emotions have been expressed by family and friends named in these widely circulated pieces. Some of Trick's fans are reportedly worried that he is going back to a situation that might resurrect past grudges, jealousy, or expectations that they both worked hard to lay aside. People who are close to Joy are thought to be divided in the interim. Some believe she's setting herself up for failure if Trick isn't truly ready for the emotional commitment she seems to want, while others advise her to try again with someone who truly gets her as they watch events unfold online. Fans become even more divided. In the comment sections, there have been several debates, theories, jokes, and warnings. There was always a certain intensity that signaled unresolved sentiments in every reunion, conversation, and even fight. According to some onlookers who ardently claim to have seen this coming from a great distance, some argue that Joy should move on instead of going back into a relationship that had left her unhappy, emotionally tired, and exhausted. Another group feels that the entire situation might lead to more drama than any of them can manage. Another aspect that is circulating in these accusations is the way Trick's countenance supposedly changed after he complimented her. People claim that even for a brief period of time, his often assertive manner softened and his speech lost its typical playful tone. Rather, its sincerity and kindness surprised all who heard it. He reportedly claimed that Joy still has the same sheen and that he can see it every time she walks into a room, no matter what day it is. For a few seconds afterward, neither of them talked, according to the same witnesses. There was no uneasy quiet. It was full of strong emotions that neither of them was ready to explore, yet neither was ready to run away. Joy took a moment to collect her thoughts before looking back up at Trick with a steadiness that caught him off guard. People claimed that at that moment, Trick shifted in his chair, put his elbows on his knees, and gave her a serious expression that is unusual for him. Online fans are now slowing down, replaying, analyzing, and interpreting that simple, calm exchange in whatever way they can. Some say it's the beginning of something new. Some are concerned that it might bring back problems that were never fully fixed. Everyone agrees, however, that whatever happened in that chamber between Trick and Joy has the audience enthralled again, waiting to see what will happen next in the story. The debate about that moment continued long after Joy and Trick had left the room because people who witnessed it couldn't shake the feeling that something had permanently changed between them. Every narrative that was told focused on how they sat there, knowing each other in a manner that only people with years of history could, without really communicating. As the first shock dissipated, Joy's expression relaxed, according to multiple accounts, reminding people of the girl she was before all the arguments, stress, and pulls of life. And the familiarity struck him harder than he had expected. The Trick didn't seem agitated, angry, or frustrated, according to reports. Instead, he seemed conflicted, as though he was considering whether to defend himself or let things unfold naturally. He took a long breath, leaned back, and kept staring at Joy as if he had a new insight. It wasn't the woman he battled or disagreed with throughout their separation, but the woman he had previously built a life with. And that small shift in his expression sparked yet another round of speculation on the internet. According to the account, Joy spoke in a steady tone, without attempting to force anything or raise her voice. She apparently told him that she wasn't there to reignite old grievances or cause controversy. She wasn't making demands that he couldn't meet or trying to hold him responsible for the past. She just wanted to be honest because she was getting tired of holding it in. Insiders claim that her comments had more impact because they were direct rather than dramatic. People don't expect emotionally charged and historically significant situations to be straightforward and drama-free. But she gave him exactly that. Reports are circulating that Trick nodded slowly and didn't interrupt her. He didn't try to use comedy or sarcasm to avoid the issue, which is what he typically does when he's uncomfortable. This time, he paid attention. Witnesses stated Joy looked relieved when she saw that, as if she was worried he would stop talking to her or walk away, despite the fact that it was claimed to appear perilous and that one incorrect word may spoil the moment. Neither of them attempted to leave the scene. All of this is further complicated by the reactions of people who were silently watching from the sidelines. Some say that some of Trick's close friends exchanged startled glances, not expecting him to maintain his poise or candor. When conversations get too personal, especially when they mention his past relationships, they say they have seen him emotionally shut off. But this time, things were different. He was not going to give up. He wasn't kidding. He wasn't angry. Everyone was taken aback by his presence. Joy's close friends and family have been whispering that she has been suppressing her feelings for a while, debating whether to express them or keep them to herself. Some of her pals reportedly told her not to speak up for fear of upsetting or disappointing her. She was encouraged by others who said she needed closure or clarity. But none of them expected it to happen so openly, and now they are just as confused as the onlookers trying to figure out every detail. Rumor has it that Joy took a moment to turn away after finishing her remark, as if she needed to get ready for his answer. At last, Trick spoke once again. People claimed that even though he spoke quietly, the intensity in his voice made them freeze. According to reports, he told her that he doubted she would ever acknowledge that she still cared. He said he didn't imagine she would reveal something so meaningful after everything they had been through. He went on to remark that a part of him had always felt they shared something unique, something that didn't just disappear when things became harder. According to sources, delight reappeared, this time with surprise. As a result of these comments, she didn't think he would go there, at least not in public. According to witnesses, Trick looked at her almost admiringly, if not affectionately. He claimed that he was still attracted to the way she carried herself and that witnessing her talk so candidly reminded him of their early relationship. When everything seemed smooth and natural, witnesses reported that they could actually feel the energy between them shifting again. Trick's response, according to his online fans, is the clearest proof that he never really let go of happiness. Some say that he didn't act like a man would with someone he didn't care about in the way he spoke, looked at her, and softened. In discussion threads and comment sections, people are already speculating on whether or not this event could lead to them getting back into a committed relationship. Others think that both of them might be too sensitive to understand the potential consequences of revisiting something with such a lengthy past. In some reports, Trick claimed that he missed the joy that wasn't tainted by misunderstandings or outside influences. He supposedly said that when she walked into a room, she still had the same glow that she had years earlier, and he couldn't understand how she kept that spark alive in the face of hardship. Some interpreted this as a sign that he wasn't embarrassed to acknowledge her strength or beauty in spite of everything. After hearing the remark, Joy apparently sighed slowly, as though she had been holding her breath the whole time. Another interesting aspect that has been circulating is the fact that not one of them raised their voices during the entire exchange. There was no shouting, no animosity, and no accusatory back and forth. Instead, it was calm, intense, and honest. And those who witnessed it were surprised by how calm it was. Despite the fact that these two are well known for their fiery personalities and heated debates, this discussion exposed a different side of each of them, an aspect that is rarely visible. Insiders claim that Joy did not respond to Trick's comments right away. Instead, she let the words sink in. Their quiet gave them a sense of purpose, as if they were speaking to each other in a different way. In the end, several others heard her say that she didn't want anything difficult and only wanted a chance to figure out what was left between them. She wasn't asking for conclusions or fast fixes. She only desired clarity, something real, unaffected by outside noise or other people's opinions. According to reports, Trick nodded again, more slowly this time, and leaned back as if he was processing everything. He said that if they were ever going to resolve the problems that still existed between them, they needed to be truthful, patient, and give themselves time to determine what they truly wanted, according to witnesses. He said neither of them should rush something this complicated. And those who heard him say this were taken aback because it appeared to be an advanced version of a trick they weren't familiar with. These details caught the attention of social media, which exploited them to start a flurry of discussions about reconciliation, emotional maturity, and second chances. Some people think that Joy and Trick might be able to rebuild something worthwhile if they take their time and don't let extraneous distractions interfere. Some say they are deluding themselves and that it is too hard to comprehend their past without going back to old routines. The comments, however, make it clear that everyone is curious about what will happen next. The atmosphere felt heavier than before as Joy pulled away from Trick and attempted to steady herself while everyone around them spoke with growing anticipation. The room had become a battlefield of emotions, and Joy could feel every eye on her as though the walls themselves were listening. Trick watched her intently, his eyes showing a blend of long-forgotten passion and anxiety that he could never completely hide when she was there. This was not an easy moment at all. Emotions whirled around them like a storm, and everyone in the area sensed that something deeper was happening. Briscoe leaned on the table and watched the two of them with a slow smile, as though he had known this all along. Even though he didn't have to say anything to heighten the suspense, he lifted his eyebrows and talked with a serenity that cut through the listeners. He told Trick that no matter who came into or went out of his life, Joy would always be the one to extract this kind of truth from Trick, and that this time was inevitable. Trick tried to brush it off, but his expression showed more than he intended. It wasn't resistance. It wasn't a refutation. It was recognition. Joy didn't want to look at him at first because every time she did, her resolve faltered. Every time. Trick looked at her with that reassuring compassion. Their shared past seemed to tighten around her, even if she wasn't the same person she had been years before. Before proceeding, she took a breath to try to stabilize herself. Her voice was softer and calmer, but it also contained words she hadn't allowed herself to say in a long time. She told him she didn't want to reveal anything tonight, but it was harder to remain silent when she saw how fervently he stood up for her. Her voice was so honest that the whole audience leaned forward to allow Joy to feel his warmth without feeling overwhelmed. Trick took a tiny step toward her. He reassured her that he wasn't trying to degrade her or put her in a tough situation, but he wouldn't stand there and seem as like he didn't still care. When he stated it, even the loudest people in the back stopped talking. He never took such a confession lightly. He reminded her that he had always seen her strength, tenacity, and fire, and that she could still stop him effortlessly. When he said that she still looked good, the audience reacted right away, murmurs piercing the air like electricity. When Joy heard it so clearly from him, her heart trembled and she closed her eyes for a while. She tried to respond calmly and collectedly, but the truth out. She admitted that she had been plagued for a long time by her doubts about whether her feelings for him were a mistake or a product of fate. Every time she thought about moving forward without him, a part of her would pull her back. Despite her assurances that she didn't want to destroy anything for him or start another chaotic cycle. At the end, Trick heard a slight tremor in her voice. This was turning into a revelation that nobody had expected. A woman standing next to the counter murmured to someone nearby as she gasped gently. People's reactions spread like ripples as they exchanged shocked looks, as though a previously unknown aspect of their tale had suddenly come to light. Some even moved aside to give the pair more room since they realized how serious the situation was. Trick let out a deep breath and went on. He told her that he never once disregarded the impact she had on his life, that he never pushed her to change, and that he never wanted. The audience buzzed with a mix of excitement and disbelief when Briscoe finally spoke again, chuckling quietly. This, he claimed, was the real Trick and Joy that everyone had been anticipating. So what's clear, according to another, that fate wasn't done with them yet. Joy glanced around, embarrassed by the attention. But she couldn't help but notice the realism that reverberated throughout the space. She felt as if a door that she had thought was closed had opened again as she turned to face Trick. With every breath they shared, the environment grew more intense, compelling them both to make a choice from which they could no longer escape. The atmosphere was quieter now, and every breath felt louder between Trick and ecstasy. The crowd around them had moved away, forming an unspoken circle to give them space without really leaving the scene. Everyone sensed that something was going to change that had been hidden behind years of silent, unresolved emotions. Joy tried not to show how much this moment was capturing her, but she could feel her hands trembling slightly as she held them at her sides. Instead of touching his face out of frustration, Trick did so with a fearful honesty that Joy hadn't seen from him in a long time. He wasn't acting for the crowd or attempting to impress anyone. Before drama, cameras, and people taking sides, he was standing there as the man she had known for a very long time. He looked at her with a kindness that carried weight, as if he was holding on to every memory they had ever had. He lowered his voice again, as if he wanted her to be the only one who heard. He acknowledged to her that life had pulled them apart. But he also acknowledged that he had never been able to completely shut the door on her. When Joy heard that from him, she felt a sharp shiver and gulped. She had been keeping her feelings within for so long that speaking them out loud earlier had seemed like walking into a whirlwind. At this point, she had to decide whether or not to keep moving through it. She told him that, especially in front of so many people, she had never anticipated him expressing his feelings in such a manner. But there was something about the openness in his speech that made her let go of a truth she had been holding inside for years. After the disturbance had passed, she admitted that, despite everything, she was still thinking about him. She spoke more slowly than normal, as if each word was important. A woman near the doorway reported that she could feel the tension in the room, as though the air itself was waiting to see what they would do. Another person murmured that this was turning into something they hadn't expected when they stepped in tonight. Joy wasn't expecting Trick's presence to anchor her, but the reactions just made her more aware of her vulnerability. With a mixture of lucidity, yearning, and fear in her eyes, she glanced at him once again. Trick took a small step in her direction, to show that he wasn't giving up, but not enough to overwhelm her. He told her he wasn't expecting a perfect answer or a bombastic declaration. He just wanted her to be as honest as she had been moments before. He said he wanted to know whether she would even consider the possibility that their work might go on. He wasn't promising a simple solution, but he needed to know whether she still believed they had something real beneath all the drama, as she processed everything. Joy paused to look down and catch her breath. She told him she didn't want to get involved in anything only to get hurt once more. She wasn't the same person she used to be, and she didn't want to repeat the same actions that had previously led to their breakup. Trick listened carefully, nodding as if he understood every nuance of her words. He informed her that while he wasn't going to act as though their connection didn't still exist, he also wasn't trying to push her back into her old habits. He told her that after seeing her struggles and resilience, he respected her even more. Someone in the back said that Trick was no longer being defensive, noisy, or playful, and that his tone had altered. He was being honest. Joy heard that too. She looked up at him once more. She told him that she couldn't dispute how courageous it was for them both to stand here and confront the matter head-on. Even if she wasn't sure where this would go, it wasn't a heartfelt or rash admission. It was something deeper, something that had been there in both of them for far too long. With caution, Trick reached out, giving her every chance to back away. He gently touched her hand when she didn't. The contact gave her a familiar, steady shock that was neither loud nor dramatic. She thought she had lost something, but it was back in front of her in a second. She stayed put, and Trick's face softened even more. He reassured her that she wouldn't have to make every choice tonight. He just wanted her to stop running away from reality. Joy took a breath that seemed like it relieved years of tension in her chest. She surmised that she might have become tired of running away and pretending not to feel what she clearly still did. The audience became silent again, not because the moment was overwhelming, but rather because it seemed authentic in a way that cut through all the noise that usually surrounded them. It was neither a dramatic reconciliation nor a rushed vow. It was two individuals accepting the truth they had been attempting to deny. As Trick held her hand, Joy felt herself letting go of the doubts that had been gripping her so tightly. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she wasn't scared of it. Something between them didn't appear to be ending. It was beginning anew, discreetly, carefully, and without forcing them to do something for which they were unprepared. In that room full of astonished onlookers, whispered feelings, and unsaid expectations, Delight and Trick stood along with a silence that felt like the first real step toward whatever occurred next. As darkness descended and the room slowly returned to its normal rhythm, people continued to whisper about what they had just seen. Delight and Trick had drastically altered the atmosphere without raising their voices or inciting chaos. Instead, they exposed a reality that everyone thought had been hidden for a long time. The way they confronted each other with sincerity, rather than wrath, was so intriguing that fans on the internet responded to every piece of information immediately. Some said they were always conscious of unsolved problems. Others were taken aback by how their subdued tension had now surfaced in such an honest way. Everyone was answering, and the conversation kept growing. The real question at hand, however, is what follows. Will Joy come with a trick after all these years of silence and distance? Instead of letting the past repeat itself, will Trick be able to show that he is ready to meet her halfway? And what impact will this have on everyone nearby who didn't expect the evening to go this way? There's a sense that a new chapter is starting, even though neither of them has the guts to say it yet. One thing is certain, regardless of how their story unfolds, their relationship remains intact. Whether they choose to admit it or not, now is your opportunity to speak. If you have been keeping up with everything, you already know how intense this moment was. Do you think Joy and Trick would be better off parting ways? Or do you think they should try their relationship again? Please share your thoughts with us by writing a comment below. If you want to be informed about every twist, confession, and unexpected reunion, be sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We appreciate your opinions, so please don't hesitate to share them with us.